Hello everyone, and welcome to another Python tutorial video. Last video we covered lists and loops. This video we're going to be looking at functions and procedures. And without further ado, let's get right to it. Now, today I'm going to be teaching you how to use functions and procedures. Now let's start off with the reason why you would need to use a function and procedure. Let's take this as an example. What I've made is a mock operating system with a menu. Yeah, basically menus is where functions come really useful to me personally. So as you can see, it gives you three options: internet, calculator, my files. Now the problem you do else. So if what I want to do, if the user types something in that's not one of the three options, it just restarts the menu. And how would it do that? Well, the easiest thing they could probably do is copy this and just paste this in. But then there's a problem, because then you have to print it back here again, and it makes an awful loop, an endless cycle. Now to solve this problem, all you have to do is create a procedure. So let's call our procedure menu, and the format to make a function or procedure is def, the name of your procedure in brackets and colon, and put anything in there you want. So what I'm going to do is cut this and paste into here. Now in the else statement, all I can do is just put menu. So if the user writes something down that's not one of the three options, all we'll do is just loop back to the menu forever. And to call the function, all you have to do is just type in the name. Let's check this out. Hang on. Just delete this. Yeah, just put anything in here. It just needs a placeholder for something. So let's check it. Now, if I type in some random stuff, it just loops back forever, which is very useful. And that's a procedure. Now, a procedure and a function is really similar, but they're different. The difference is that procedure just does something and that's it. A function, it can return something. Return a value that can later be used in the code. So a procedure could be something like this. All it does is just does something. Prints hello. But a function returns a value. So you can do return 1 plus 1. And to get that 1 plus 1, you have to do print. So a function can be used as a variable technically. As you can see, it prints 2. So that's the difference between a function and a procedure. Now, one thing you probably noticed is that there's a bracket for a reason. And you can put arguments into a function or procedure. So let's say we want to make an area finder. So def area, and we have our x and our y. And to find an area, obviously, is just return x times y. Now when we call the function, we can put our own arguments in there. It can be different each time. So area 3 and 5 forming, or area 5 and 2. Oh yeah, don't forget to print it. Otherwise, it's just stating a variable. It doesn't do anything otherwise. Now we should see it do the function and get the corresponding answer. And that's true. 12 and 10. 3 times 4 is 12. and 5 times 2 is 10. Now you don't have to put the number straight away into the call. You can also set as a variable. So for example, let's do an input, so x could be, or w, that was an input, give a number, and z is an input too. And don't forget to make it an integer. Now we can put these variables into the function. So we can print area, w, and z. Let's see if this works. So I want to find an area of a rectangle, and let's say the height of it is 10 centimeters and the width is 3.5, and I should times it together and get the area. Hang on, what's going on here? Oh, I see, because I put a decimal in there and it can only be in integers, so a whole number. So let's retry that again. So 10, and let's go for 7. And it gives 70, which is the area. It's pretty useful, I think. And one thing also, if you want to use different variables in the function, you have to make them global. So let's say I made let's delete this, a variable called x, and it is 5. Oh, and x, so there's some difference. A and b equals 8. If I want to use these variables into here, I have to make them global. So in the function or procedure, I will have to type global A and global B. If I didn't do this, and then I did, let's say, this, if I use the variable outside the function without making it global, it will not recognize the variables. Because a function is a little bubble, it only recognizes things that's inside it. Otherwise, this is just foreign, it's contamination. So let's check this. Okay, area. Undo. 5 and 2. Well, that seems right, I guess. So that's what a global variable is. Yeah, do remember to do this. I keep forgetting to do this in my own code. If you're going to use a variable outside a function, always make sure to make it global in a function procedure. And one other thing I need to show you is something called time. So at the start of your code, import the time. That is pretty useful. So while true, for God's sake, okay. Print 5. Okay, if I just run it now, it will just go on endlessly 5 without a break. If I want to do it, that prints 5 every second, then what to do is type time.sleep, and in the brackets, how many seconds I want to wait. So for this example, let's put 2 seconds. Now if you run it, it will print 5 only after 2 seconds. And remember to import the time, otherwise the code will not recognize what time is. So that's that. Now, your challenge today is make a program that has menu system, which gives the user an option to either go to a timer or to another algorithm of your choice. This can be anything you want. I'll be back. And you should have something along the lines of this. Well, let's run it and see what it does. As you can see, I have a menu, and I can choose from a timer and my own little program that I made myself. So let's check the timer out. So I'll type in timer. Wait, hang on. There you go, timer. And it allows me to choose how many seconds I want to set the timer for. So let's set it for 5 seconds. And every second, it takes away from the integer and prints it. And then I made it so you can type anything to continue. And it goes back to the menu. Now let's go on random. And what I made here is when you type A, it prints a random number from between 0 and 50. So let's type in A, 1, 24, 8, you get it. And type anything else, you go back to the menu. So how did I do this? Well, first thing I did is import all the things I need. So I imported time for the timer, and then I imported randint, which I will explain later. It's basically a random number. So I made my menu in my menu procedure, and then I made an input. So then I did some conditional statements where if the input was timer, it will call the timer procedure, and if the input was random, it will call the random procedure, and if it was anything else, it will just go back to the menu. So let's see how I did the timer. So for the timer procedure, I made an input for the amount of seconds, and remember to put int because you're dealing with numbers here. And then I made a while loop where until the variable hits 0, it will keep printing it and taking away 1. And of course I did a time.sleep1, so it actually is every second. So that does that, and after this while loop has finished its thing, I should put a placeholder input where type anything to continue, and once the user types something, it just goes back to the menu. Now a similar thing for the random number generator. You type in A, if the user types in A, all it does is just prints randint 0 to 50, and then goes back and loops back. And if you type in anything else, it just goes back to the menu. And remember, when you're making these functions, always remember to call the menu at the beginning, right at the bottom. If that wasn't there, the program will just read all this, but not act on it. It will just read the functions. So remember to type in menu, so you can actually call it and start looping. Now back to the randint. It's pretty simple to explain. From random, you import to randint, and all it is a random number, integer specifically, so it cannot be decimal. So print randint, and in its own separate pair of brackets, you do your lowest number, let's say 0, and your highest number 7. So let's put in a while loop. And paste this into here. So what it should do is constantly print numbers from 0 to 7, as it does here. Let's do a timer so we can see it more easily. You can also do negative numbers, so you can go from -5 to 32, something like that. And it should print random numbers. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want more Python tutorials, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.